Listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. So sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Well, howdy hey. Good evening, friends. It's once again time for This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. He's Ben, I'm Hobbs, you're in Clown World. But at this point, if you haven't noticed, then what are you even doing?
And as you see, I'm back on Earth, my background here. Had an off week last week, had some sewage issues I had to help somebody with. So apologies that show didn't happen, but we're here now.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the news, and I can't be asked to pay attention to any of it.
I know you're paying attention to the Tiddies.
Well, I mean, you can't help. But as far as like real solid news go, we're living in a Smash Mouth song where the hits keep coming, and by God, they do not stop coming.
Right. Just every day there's another weird thing.
Yeah, and it's really hard to keep track of it. It's hard to keep track of when we've talked about over the course of the week, and of course with summer going on and us having our weird schedules and family stuff going on, we can't always do this show. And you know, by the time we actually get around to doing a show, we sit down and we're like, okay, well, this thing that happened 2 weeks ago has already run through the news cycle. People are probably sick of hearing about it. And any hot takes that we may have had have already been taken up by the hive mind. So
they already did it.
Yeah. So like, what can you do, right?
Yeah, the Sydney Sweeney thing is the hot one for this week, it seems.
I know. It's like we're living in 2015 and the Tumblrites are coming out of the woodwork again.
I didn't even really know who she was. I don't think I've ever seen a movie with her in it.
Yeah, me neither. I've seen a couple episodes of a TV show and then a bunch of like advertisements and memes.
Right.
But I think that she kind of came to prominence, though. She did a episode of that show with the Hot Wings, what's called Hot Ones.
Oh, okay.
And just nailed it. Like the hot wings weren't affecting her at all, and there were a lot of like screenshots made of her just like not even being affected by these hot wings.
And so what?
And then
she with her then?
Huh?
What's the left issue with
her? She's white, blonde, and blue-eyed, and she's conventionally attractive. So that means that means if you like her, she's a Nazi.
And that set him off. An ad campaign with an attractive white woman in it has done them in.
Yeah, that's all it took for there to just be a complete blow up. You know, never mind the last 10 years, we've all just been bombarded with dysgenic, ugly black lesbians with shaved heads in our advertisement, as if, you know, all the all bodies are beautiful crap, the healthy at any size crap, the shoving it in our faces for 10 years. You know, it obviously didn't work because you could see the sales falling off a cliff for anything that pushed this agenda. And then American Eagle drops one ad with Sydney Sweeney. Like, she wasn't even dressed that provocatively. She's dressed in a pair of fairly loose-fitting jeans and a denim jacket, and then American Eagle's stock goes parabolic. The left has a meltdown, and all the guys put on their pit vipers, pump their fists, and say, "We are so back."
Well, and I think now it's trans month, isn't it?
Dude, if sub 1% of the population gets their own month, then I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
I've seen some ads for, you're talking about wanting to buy their product. I think maybe you sent me the link, maybe not, of the trans ad. It had the overweight black woman with the beard.
No, it wasn't me.
Selling lingerie. It was an overweight black woman with a beard, and standing and seated was a white woman who was about as butch as you could look, and it was an ad for lingerie.
Are you sure this will help us sell burgers?
Yeah. So that's the other end, and I didn't even realize that they created a whole trans month now. I don't know when that happened. It must have been during COVID or something.
Like they couldn't shoehorn themselves into June. The
Yeah.
rest of the alphabet people, they need their own month now.
Well, I thought it was LGB. What does the T stand for? The TQ, I guess.
Yeah, trans and queer and plus for all of the other mental illnesses out there.
Yep. And the person that sent me the comment, it wasn't you, but they said, this is going to be studied in the future.
It needs to be studied because, well, what are these companies doing? Another great juxtaposition to this is Jaguar, the car company, luxury / sports car company. They sold something like 183,000 cars
Mhm.
2 years ago. And then last year they rolled out this like weird, bizarre, spacey, androgynous, can't tell if they're men or women, and it's all like weird and gay, and there's not a car in the entire commercial. It's just like all these like weird hipster and androgynites walking around in this colorful dreamscape type environment, and it's just them walking around. It says like be bold, be extra, and then it's like, well, what is this a commercial for? And then at the very end, Jaguar. It's like, let's see how this goes. And then the numbers came out, and they went from selling 183,000 cars the year before to under 27,000 cars.
Yeah.
So weird people of color, androgynite, make everything colorful and gay, falls off a cliff. Hot white girl, sky's the limit, to the moon.
And I think, it was, I don't know if the guy was making a joke when he said that though, but I think it actually will be studied, like how we look back at lobotomies. I think in the future they're going to look back at it the same way. I'm willing to admit that there may be some people, their brains just something went hormonal, whatever, and they're mixed up. But when you look at stuff like, I can think of somebody, very liberal person, 3 of their kids are trans. Just the odds alone of that happening are astronomical.
It's
Just having 3 kids be gay, would be astronomical.
Yeah.
But to have 3 of them be trans,
it's impossible, statistically impossible. There's several things behind it. Is one is it's social contagion. So there's this like it's hip and it's cool to be different, and there's nothing more different than being trans. The next contributing factor is Munchausen by proxy. If you are the parent of one of these stunning and brave children who is coming out as trans, well, then that's more sympathy and more attention for you as a mother or a father. And
the ones that are
third,
like proud of it, like they
yeah,
wear the shirts and all the time.
yeah, yep.
My kid's trans. What is yours? Or my kid's trans. Yours is an honor student or something.
It's parents seeking attention. And then the third factor is I forget who it was. I was watching a podcast the other day where somebody came up with the theory that all of these celebrities, I mean, it's like almost every celebrity has a kid who's identifying as queer to one degree or another. And this person put the theory out there that this is ritual child sacrifice. For fame and fortune. It's very, very difficult to explain away a celebrity's kid who suddenly goes missing. So you can't sacrifice the kid in the old traditional sense, but you can do this transing thing. It's as good as killing them. Yeah.
Part of the cabal.
It's like which one is it? Well, a little column A, a little column of B, column C. Might be a little bit of everything mixed in there. Might be a little something that we don't know. But either way, it's not good.
Well, I mean, look at Will Smith. You talk about humiliation rituals. That guy's for some reason they deemed that guy needed several of them.
Yeah, and You could shit that's a whole other rabbit hole that we could go down and do a whole show off of alone. Is like, why was Will Smith targeted? Um, Will Smith he was a famous black role model who engaged in wholesome entertainment.
I don't know much about his background. Is he actually just from like a middle class background?
I'm not sure of that myself, but if you go through his career, like his raps were, they were
Yeah.
wholesome and good and kid friendly. His show, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, was a wholesome family entertainment that dealt with some very deep family type of issues and always had a good lesson at the end of everything. His movies were generally family friendly, or at least like PG-13, all the way up into his career. And I think that someone in the powers that be was like, we can't have a black role model that's actually positive. The blacks have to be shooting each other in the street and addicted to crack. So destroy this man's life.
I mean, I just Googled it real quick. I mean, yeah, genuinely, he's not like some Hollywood plant. He generally grew up in West Philadelphia, came up from nothing, rapping in clubs with his friend DJ Jazzy Jeff, who we all know and love, and happened to end up with a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
nailed it.
Yeah, I think I think that kind of puts the nail in that coffin. He broke out of the mold, and we can't have that.
Yeah, especially, I mean, what they did with his wife.
What they're doing to his kids.
His kids, yeah, his kids are something else. And
yeah,
I mean, we've seen it before with Hollywood types, but he's probably the best, most visible example of humiliation ritual.
right. Yeah, and speaking of humiliation rituals, there was that one video that I sent to the group chat. Like, we've talked about this for years about how it seems like the nations of Europe are in the midst of their humiliation ritual with the immigrant thing going on.
Yeah.
And I sent one the other day that was going over. It was a Lotus Eaters clip, and the guy was talking
I couldn't make
about,
it through. I was not wanting to. I listened to that story about the guy he started with. Sorry, I didn't make it.
it's
with the immigrant.
Yeah, so this woman, I guess, falling for the propaganda or whatever, decides that she wants to take this immigrant into her home to give him a place to live, or immigrant, refugee, asylum seeker, whatever the hell this guy was. He was somebody that probably shouldn't have been there, but he was there. She thought she was doing the right thing, and so she gives this guy a home, and then she has a baby. And this guy that she is giving shelter to suddenly decides that this woman is paying too much attention to her newborn infant and is not paying enough attention to him. Now, what that attention might be, I don't know if she was dating this guy or if she was just like waiting on him hand and foot, or like what felt he was entitled to. I don't know. I don't know what that attention would be, but in his mind, she was paying too much attention to her own newborn child. So this guy ends up stabbing her something like 258 times. And she's on the floor, dead. Blood is everywhere. And he takes this newborn baby and rolls it around in the blood and starts taking pictures of this baby. And that's about as far as the story goes.
The judge let him off. I did some reading on it later. I was listening to it, and I was like, I'm just not willing to listen to this. The judge decided that he was mentally handicapped because of his IQ, but
yeah,
they had to lower the retardation IQ cutoff because of people like him.
Right. So if this guy is so mentally impaired that he doesn't understand that stabbing a new mother over 250 times and then rolling her new baby around in her blood is wrong, that's not the type of person you want to let back out on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we used to have these facilities in the West called asylums that you would put people like that into, and somewhere along the lines we decided that that was too cruel, and instead of putting them away where they could be segregated away from the population and dealt with professionally, we decided that the more caring and loving approach would be to either A, inflict them on society at large, or B, put them into a regular prison with all of the hardened criminals for
Now,
some reason.
do any Western countries have asylums? Are you aware?
I can't name any off the top of my head. I'm sure that probably some maybe Central or Eastern European countries might still have them. That sounds like something like Poland might still have, or Hungary, maybe one of those little postage stamp countries like Liechtenstein or something like that,
Right.
or Luxembourg. They might still have their asylum system up and running, but across the broader West, the bigger, more power players of the West, like Canada, United States, UK, we did away with our asylum system to the detriment of society.
Yeah, it's like in the 50s and 60s, and that kind of traces back to where everything started falling apart, where they took over the educational institutions. We haven't really talked about this, but this could have been part of one of the prongs of their attack is to get rid of the mental institutions. You know what I mean?
Right, because like I said, it's I was being kind of facetious and cynical about it, but when you do away with the asylums, there's only two places for these people to go. They can go out into the general population where they're going to struggle. And when they get out there, they're going to struggle to find a job. They're probably going to struggle with substance abuse. They're going to be probably in and out of the prison system for various offenses dealing with, violence or antisocial behavior. Or they're going to do something that's going to get them locked up in the actual prison system for a very long time, at which point they are going to struggle there as well because they're not mentally equipped to handle that kind of an environment either. The penitentiary system, if you look at the root word of penitentiary, it's penitent. When you put somebody away in a penitentiary, it is to make amends for the wrongs that you have caused to somebody else and to society. It is a place of reflection, it is a place of repentance, and it is a place of growth. And when you put somebody who is not mentally equipped to handle any of those aspects, you are doing them a disservice. You are doing the penitentiary system a disservice because now they have to focus on dealing with this person on top of all of the hardened criminals that they're also dealing with. And you're doing society as a whole a disservice because it's going to come down to some bleeding heart lawyer is going to say that their client can no longer stand to be in the penitentiary system. And now you've got somebody who's mentally impaired being thrust back out onto the rest of the population. It does nobody any good, but it boils down to this well-intentioned but misguided universal human rights that has kind of inflicted itself on Western civilization. The idea that all people are somehow afforded all people are afforded like a blind justice and a uniform set of human rights. But human rights, like all things in nature, have a hierarchy to them. Somebody's right to life is more sacred than somebody's right to freedom of movement. And when somebody's behavior is impinging on somebody's right to life, it is therefore the duty of the state, the government, society, whatever these institutions that we've built, it is their duty to then restrain that person's right to movement by throwing them in a cell because they have impinged on somebody else's higher order human rights. And I know the libertarians out there are probably like pulling their pubic hairs out right now.
Well, the thing is, mental health is one of those things that. Well, let me back up before I get off on that tangent. A lot of times we say, follow the money. I'm sure money was involved with the decision to close. I mean, why would a hospital eat the costs of a mental health patient when they can just close them down and kick them out on the street, and then the taxpayers are picking it up by them ending up in prison? And why would insurance companies want to cover it too when you can just boot them out on the street? And a lot of mental health issues aren't covered by insurance too. I mean, the one thing Obamacare might have done is that done right was that it expanded coverage for mental health issues. But before that, there was hardly anything covered in regards to mental health.
The for-profit prison industry probably also has something to do with that as well, because
Oh,
the more
sure.
people you lock up, the more money they get, and the more mentally ill people you have running around, the higher chances there are that those people are going to end up behind bars sooner or later.
Yep. So yeah, I'm sure if you follow the money, that's part of the issue. And the libertarian comment you brought up, mental health is one of those things that can't be fixed by libertarian ideas.
Sometimes crazy is just crazy, guys.
Yeah. Sometimes crazy is just crazy, and probably people need to start realizing that and pooling their money together as communities and starting community mental health to get these people off the streets.
Well, if you think about it, if you have a if you have a mental asylum, and you and you want to run your mental asylum in the same way that we run our prison system, like a for-profit prison system, that seems to do a really good, too good of a job of getting people locked up. But if you want to run it like that, a for-profit asylum system,
Oh boy.
I mean, can you imagine how free and clear the traffic of Portland would become overnight?
The abuse, though, I could just see that going sideways. I mean, that's part of the reason why I think a lot of those hospitals got shut down in the 50s and 60s was because some of the abuse that was going on there. But they were underfunded. For some reason, probably just boomers being boomers, they decided that taking care of mental health wasn't a wise way to spend money. But look at all these communities that they spend money on, streetcars or whatever to brighten up their downtown and parks in downtown. What if you spent that money on a mental health hospital to get those people off the street?
Yeah, and you'd have to figure out a way to do it.
You'd have to change legislation that you could commit them, right? Because,
right.
I mean, surely you've seen the videos of these junkies on the street. Their legs are rotting off, and they don't want to go to the hospital because they can't get drugs there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not something that can be. There is no silver bullet that's going to do it overnight, because the possibility of abuse is there. Because what's to stop certain jurisdictions from claiming that otherwise, what behavior that you and I would consider to be normal is abnormal.
Obviously.
Behavior.
I mean, look at COVID, or even guns. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, that guy was pro. You're in California. Oh, this guy lived in another state, was pro Second Amendment. Obviously, he's got violence issues. We need to commit him. Oh, this guy supports Trump. Obviously, he's got anger issues. He needs committed.
Yep.
Or even at the other end. Oh, this person's gay as fuck. Put him in a mental hospital. I could see that in Alabama or something, or it lends itself to abuse.
It does.
But what we have now isn't working.
Right. And then we also have to worry about, not just funding, but also staffing and credentialism. Putting the people that could actually handle these sorts of people, rather than just pump them full of benzos and give them missing, a Scrabble set missing a few tiles.
A couple comments here. Didn't they rebrand to sanitariums shortly before they shut down? I think they started calling them sanitariums a while ago. I'm not sure though on that one. And also Canada will be like, oh man, it sucks. You have to wait 18 months for this necessary medical procedure. Have you tried medically assisted death?
Yeah, MAID is also a problem, but we're down here in the United States, not in Canada. Got a comment over in our group chat. Somebody's watching, says the I'm correct about the freedom of movement aspect. Thanks, Terry. That's that's
Yeah.
But this mental health is one of those things where there's just no one shot solution. There's abuse, there's funding,
I mean, back
there's
to that medically
credentials.
assisted death comment, though. I mean, basically, that's what some of these people are doing on the street, just slowly.
Yeah,
I mean, some of these junkies are beyond the point of return. They're never going to be able to be functional. Sorry to sound callous, but there's just they've been out of the workforce too long. Technology goes too fast. Their legs are rotten. They're not even going to be able to work at a McDonald's. Some
right.
people are just being made worthless at this point.
And unfortunately, if you take a look at as far gone as some of those people are, if the OD doesn't get them, the withdrawal symptoms likely will,
Mm-hmm.
because at some point the withdrawal symptoms can become lethal.
Yeah. And they've got to reintegrate back into society. You can't be out of society for very long anymore. And that's why in prisons they try and keep them, at least with skills and some sort of keep them up to date on society. But these people living under a bridge just doing drugs all day, they're just too far removed to be reintegrated.
Yeah, and so what do you do with those sorts of people? Sanitarium,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Just keep them comfortable until they eventually, kick the bucket. Other than that, your only option is that they're just going to die under a bridge or in a wooded area, or God forbid, on the steps of your kid's elementary school or something.
Yeah. That's one of those things that nobody wants to talk about fixing for some reason, like immigration, mental health. Nobody wants to fix it, probably because of the reasons we talked about. There's money involved.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that there's a bajillion fucking Reddit retards out there that are self-diagnosing themselves with every mental illness under the sun. That doesn't help things either.
Random comment over on Rumble: abortion is black genocide.
You're not wrong. That is who it was traditionally targeted towards. I mean, if you look up some of the shit that Margaret Sanger said back in the day, it'll make your head spin.
Yeah.
But at this point, abortion is just genocide, period, because it affects everybody. I actually saw a meme while we were waiting to go live, and it was like a tiny little guy, and it says men who have murdered 1 billion people throughout all wars in all human history, and he's like looking up to like a giant hulking guy, and it says women who have murdered 1.3 billion people since 1980 through abortion. That, yeah. And then underneath of that was the stat that said that 28% of Generation Z was an abortion.
Good grief.
So, yeah.
They always talk about, I mean, when I was growing up, that's what they were always talking about was, the world's going to get overpopulated, blah, blah, blah. And we're realizing now that, oopsie.
Yeah. Yeah, like speaking of overpopulation and abortion and stuff, so China's one-child policy was overturned, I think, 8 years ago in 2017. So the one-child policy was, I think it was in effect from like 1960 all the way till 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And the one-child policy, like the name implies, was each family could only have one kid. And so sex selective abortion in China was huge. Most families would opt for a son. If they found out that they were pregnant with a daughter, they would abort it and try again. Because, think
Well,
about
that's if you lived in a municipal area. I wonder in the rural areas, I'm going to guess they went the way of the Spartan babies and just threw them off a cliff.
that's a possibility as well. Um, But because of that, China is estimated to have anywhere on the low end of like 34 million on upwards to 100 million surplus men. 34 to 100 million more men than women. And these are men that have no future.
They don't. I saw something about this. They don't actually know the population numbers either, because the government officials in the smaller areas, they get funding based on the amount of people. They were finding that a lot of those officials were fudging their numbers. So they think that China's population deficit is even worse than they let on. But yeah.
Yep, and so the guy that was that did the abortion is black genocide comment over here just hit the nail on the head. War, exactly. That's exactly the point. When you think about the type of society that China is, most of these people were opting for a son because a son is what passes on the family name. A son is the more useful progeny for those sort of glamorized communist manual labor jobs, working in the fields and working in working in the factories. And a son is the more useful for when it is time to do violence in the name of the state. You are going to want a son. And when you live in a sort of hive mind communist type of society as China is, you as a family would probably see it as your highest honor to give your son to the state to fight the state's wars for you. And with the tensions that we've got coming up surrounding Taiwan, the possibility of them just putting as many men into whatever boats they can get on the ocean and floating them across the Straits of Formosa towards Taiwan is very likely, and they won't give a damn how many of those boats sink
Mhm.
as long as some of them make it to the island, because those men are expendable. Those men have no future. They have no future to get a wife. They have no future to climb the social ladder. And without those types of aims to shoot for, a man, or not a man, but men in large groups become extremely dangerous to the state.
Mhm.
Unless you can focus their energy externally, they start to focus it inwardly, and that's when you get things like riots and revolutions.
Which somehow China's held them off at this point. I don't know what their secret sauce is over there, um, but they haven't had really any sort of, unless they're just that suppressed the news. I mean, we've heard nothing about any sort of. I mean, they've got a lot of men that are probably in their 20s to 40s at this point, that you
hmm
think would be kind of fed up with where they're at in life.
Well, some of them we've talked about in the past. They're using a lot of these men as, for lack of a better term, economic colonizers on the Belt and Road Initiative around the world,
Mhm.
where they send them to some place in Africa or the Middle East or something to do infrastructure programs for the destitute populations of those areas, at which point those men may end up finding a wife and a life over there, and then you end up kind of having a Chinese colony in West Africa or something like that. um, but yeah, maybe it's just the propaganda is that good.
Right? They squash it down that easily.
Yeah.
China secretly has robot sex slaves that have been placating their men this whole time. They just haven't let the world know about it.
Yeah, that's why China's so gung ho on their AI program, because they're coming up with the Coom pods.
They're teaming up with Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, Japan's another one that they're a decreasing population for different reasons. They just quit having, they just quit.
Yeah. Like China right now has reversed their one child policy and is actually paying women to
It's a
have
minimal
3 or
effect
more
I
kids.
saw.
Yeah. I don't think that the Chinese women are, eager to become brood mares after, being on par with the glorious communist revolution
Well,
and
and
doing
they're a
their
modern society now. It's just so expensive to have a child in a modern society. I mean, it's not like in Africa where you can pop out 10 pups and, just at 3 years old, they're on their own.
4 or 5 of them die of disease and starvation.
Yeah.
But taking the amphibian approach rather than the mammal approach to procreation.
I don't think it's as much a problem in the Middle East. I mean, India must still be cheap to raise a child. It seems like they have plenty of kids there. But just in any modern country, it's so expensive to raise a child, and to get some. And I've talked about this before too. The value of a man in their 20s or a woman in their 20s who is raised to handle all the ins and outs of modern society is a huge cost. It's not like where you could function up to maybe the 50s or the 60s on minimal knowledge and still be able to feed yourself. That just doesn't happen anymore, hardly.
No, yeah, the social investment to get a child from a baby up to a functioning adult, like you practically have to like cram the Encyclopedia Britannica into their ear and expect them to have it all by rote.
But yeah, even it used to be, well, you can work a shovel, you can get a job. That barely applies anymore. You got to be able to get your emails and talk to your project manager and read documents, and it just doesn't function that way anymore.
For those of us that are happier just swinging a hammer at something and hitting it really hard, it's been
you can maybe be a roofer anymore.
Yeah. Now, what did Uncle Ted say about the Industrial Revolution and its blah something been a disaster for humanity? Return to monkey.
Yeah, nailed it. What else? We had a couple other. Oh, the redistricting thing's been in the news a lot. Not to completely go to a different segment, but we actually talked to that for quite a bit. We're running out of time.
Yeah, so Texas is talking about doing a mid-decade redistricting of their congressional districts. If that would happen, they expect something like 5 Democrats would lose their seats and get picked up by Republicans. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, to offset that, California is saying that if Texas redistricts mid-decade, then they will redistrict, and it'll be like 9 Republicans will lose their seats and get redistricted over to Democrats.
All for it. Good. I mean, push whatever. I hate seeing Californians move areas, but push whatever conservatives are left in California out. Push whatever liberals out of Texas, and they can go to California, do a swap, and we'll see which area turns out better.
I think we already have some. We have some decent data on that right now about which one's doing better.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Do it. Let's just go all or nothing here.
It'll be interesting, but the census is another thing that is going to throw a monkey wrench in, because going with the metrics that we have right now, if we were to apply the census to reapportionment of representative districts, then I think it's something like California would lose 8, and Texas would gain 2 or 3, and Tennessee would gain 2 or 3, and Florida would gain 2 or 3, or something like that. So it would be, a massive purge of California moving to these Republican or more red-leaning states.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes things even worse is if Trump gets his way and illegal aliens are no longer counted in the census. Then things get all kinds of screwy, and I don't have the actual numbers, but I want to say something like California loses double digits easy.
Yeah, but so would like Texas, though, and maybe Florida would lose quite a few.
It's possible. Can you imagine picking up a 4th district here in Nebraska?
Yeah.
So we got to put this representative somewhere. Fucking Wyoming. Here, you have another one.
Somebody commented, is this just redistricting or is it just competitive gerrymandering? Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
to be.
Olympic gold medal level gerrymandering.
That would be Maryland, I think. I think they're the worst gerrymandered state there is. I've seen a map of it. There's one district that stretches across the entire state
Yeah.
from the middle of it. Uh, yeah, where is it? Yeah, Maryland's terrible. You have islands, and uh,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how Texas is going to end up doing theirs. I hope not, because that's so blatantly obvious and ugly.
Yeah.
But do what they got to do, I guess. It's their state.
Yeah, I just on the topic of gerrymandering, I just had this one pop into my head. I don't know if this was a congressional district or if it was like a city council district or something like that. I think it was a city council district, but the uh, the district was like one huge patch over here and one huge patch over here, and the only thing that connected them was along one single street that went like 7 or 8 blocks or something, and it was completely done by race, because like this was like a huge neighborhood of black people and this was a huge neighborhood of black people, and then there was like this one little street that was enough black people that they were like, yeah, that'll not skew the votes one way or another, and it was just so disgustingly obvious what they were doing.
Yeah, I'll show a picture of this. Let's see if I can show a picture of this Maryland one here. Uh, is that what you were thinking of? Let me solo it here. I mean,
Maybe.
like this district number 3, it looks like it goes through one street. I mean, look at this. It goes all the way up and around everything. But that's kind of what they did on the East Coast.
Well, the East Coast states all look like a jumbled mess anyways. They're natural borders.
Right.
And then you move further out west and it's like Wyoming, square.
Uh,
Colorado, square.
Raptor said Hobbs just described Chattanooga. If you say so. Never been.
I think I've drove through it 1 or 2 times. Wasn't as bad as Memphis. Memphis was something else.
I've heard that from multiple people. The one of the last things I want to touch on, and you said you didn't see this story, but I guess Kash Patel, a couple other members of Trump's first team. Let me find it here. I'll tell you. When they got in the second time, here it is. It was Kash Patel, Scavino, and Clark. Google emailed them that the Biden administration, on their way out, had requested all the information on them, their emails. I guess Kash Patel had his hospital contacted by the FBI to get his hospital records. Um,
Huh.
this, this was Jack Smith doing that, special counsel, dumbass. Um, where is it? Clark, one of the guys in this, is medical records, private communications, uh, email addresses, college transcripts. They requested all of that when he got appointed the second time when the Biden administration saw he was going to be appointed by the incoming Trump administration for the second time. Just trying to bully him.
More weaponized lawfare. And now it's looking like the Trump team is doing tit for tat, which, on the one hand, it's like, well, you guys open this can of worms on yourself, and you bring a gun to the fight. Don't be surprised if it gets taken from you and used on you.
Yeah, it's like in
But
World War One. Oh, we can use gas now? Okay.
yeah, but then at the same time, it's just gonna devolve further and further, and then the next president, if they're a Democrat, is going to use this same shit on their Republican enemies, only harder. And then the next Republican is going to use it on the Democrats even harder, and it's just going to spiral out of control.
Well, what was the story about they were finding burn bags? Did you see that one?
That one I did see, and it was...
Does that tie into this at all?
It might tie into that, or it might tie into just the various lawfare that they were running on the Trump campaign, the spying, the Russiagate shit that they did during the 2016 investigation. There was a lot of stuff that was supposed to have been disposed of, and it wasn't disposed of. I want to say that just off the top right now, we take a look at what an absolute embarrassment Pam Bondi has been, and we take a look at how haphazardly Cash and Dan have kind of, I don't know, tiptoed around stuff that they said that they were going to get to the bottom of. And you have to admit that out of all of the people that Trump put into office right now, the two people that are doing a real bang up job and are kind of Trump's secret weapons right now are RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, because they seem to be the only ones that are actually getting the shit done that they said they would get done.
I was surprised by Rubio too.
Yeah, Mighty Marco has really come out of left field to change his stripes, but he's more of a public facing element of it. What I mean about RFK and Tulsi is that they're not going on Fox News every night to suck their own dicks. They're just behind the scene doing all of the stuff that they do, and when they have something concrete, it's like, here's this thing. We told you that this was here. Now here's the absolute proof of it.
Mm-hmm.
RFK was out there talking about how the mRNA shit was bad, and then suddenly out of nowhere it said that HHS was going to green light an mRNA vaccine for, like, I think measles or something. And it turns out that two of his underlings did it in his name. And as soon as he found out about it, he came back from vacation. It was like, you're fucking fired. And we're rescinding this green light on this mRNA stuff.
Well, I mean, he fired a bunch of people from the vaccine board too.
Yeah, like the whole council, 17 people. He's like, we're going to get rid of you guys because you obviously have a conflict of interest going on. Yep. And that was in the news for all of like 15 seconds because he didn't need to go out there and jerk himself off in front of a big crowd. He just did it.
Well, I liked RFK when he was running, but I think and he said it too. He realizes he's 70 something. He's not going to get a chance at president. He's too old. He's burned too many bridges. So he's in there and he's just doing work.
Yeah.
He's not trying to brush up his resume. It seems like Tulsi's not either.
No,
although I think she's young enough. I think she could still make a run at president.
Well, she could make a run from an age perspective, but I think that she sees this as the golden opportunity to do the things that she thinks need to be done. Because I want to say that I think that she thinks that if it doesn't get done now, it never will. Because even though she is young enough to take a run at the presidency again, if the types of people that she is up against right now ever get power again, it doesn't matter how good her positions are. She will never be president or vice president. It could be like a J.D. Vance Tulsi ticket. That would be pretty cool coming up in 28, but it's probably going to be something like Vance Rubio.
Yeah, I think Rubio wants a shot. I mean, he's got the background for it too, and he appeals to enough of the middle ground. I think he's going to be a real contender.
Yeah.
And he's been through the ringer before. I mean, there's no skeletons that are going to fall out of his closet if he runs again. Not like when JFK ran and they were just like seemed like every closet they opened, they were.
Yeah, I guess.
Ate a dog. Whoops. Less than a babysitter. Oh, whoopsie.
Marilyn Monroe. What's this doing in here?
So I think Rubio's going to be the guy. And Vance seems pretty squeaky clean too. I like that Vance Rubio idea. Rubio Vance. I don't think Vance would do it a second time. I don't know if Rubio would play second fiddle. I don't know. It'll be interesting. The
Yeah.
post-Trump. It's too late to get into this now, but the post-Trump era is going to be interesting.
It's definitely going to be cutthroat.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing that I think that the one trait that Donald Trump has that I don't think any of the people that are going to come after him have is whatever charisma that he's got behind him, where he was able to mock and belittle and just tongue lash down all of these people like Marco Rubio in the debate stage, in the news, in everything, and then somehow turn around after he sealed the nomination and then get them on his side.
Mhm.
I don't think that in a cutthroat primary where you've got guys like J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, maybe Tulsi, maybe Vivek Ramaswamy or some of these other people, I don't think that any of those people would be able to throw the types of verbal barbs that it would be needed of them to push down the opposition and then be able to turn around and be like, okay, now that I'm the man, work for me.
Yeah.
I think that is a uniquely Donald Trump thing.
Couple comments over here. We're getting up towards the end. RFK hasn't gotten us away from fluoride as a water treatment operator. It's done at the local level. Yeah, I know all about that. I was on city council and I tried to get rid of fluoride, and it did not go over well. I might as well said that I was a space alien. Staggering number of water treatment plants would drop a classification grade simply by dropping fluoridation. I don't know what the classification means. If you can expand on that, if you see this in time. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say that they did come out with guidance to drop the fluoridation, but I think it's one of these Article 3 district judges put the kibosh on it.
Good grief. Freaking boomers love their fluoride. I made a whole case on it. You're spraying fluoride for spending this money to put fluoride in the water. You're spraying it on your yard, your cars, golf course, wasting money on it. All right. Yeah. And if you really care about dental health, I was like, all right, let's take the money we're spending on fluoride and hold a free dental clinic for people that need it. There you go. If that's your big concern. And they act like it's the dumbest thing they ever heard. Oh, fluoride's one of the most successful health programs. Okay, whatever.
Is it?
Is it though?
Is it really, or is that what you just been told?
Is it one of the most successful industrial waste disposal schemes in the history of America?
And there you have it.
Vance face memes, if he ran for president, would potentially get him in office.
I really wish I had a bigger reach than I do, because I would absolutely have loved it if every single day at the White House they removed his vice presidential portrait and replaced it with a different Vance meme every single day.
Did you notice Trump posted that meme of the white Broncos where they were chasing and him and Vance were in it, and it was the baby Vance with the long hair?
Yes. That was one of the. It's like Trump posts bizarre chasing Obama with a weird Vance meme, and it's like he gets it. This wasn't.
I wonder if he ran that by JD first. He's like, "Hey, you mind if I?" He would have been like, "Go with it."
Well, yeah, JD Vance was on the Theo Von podcast and said that he absolutely loves these memes. He's like, I don't get some of them. Some of them are really creepy and bizarre, but I love every single one. They make me laugh.
On his desktop next to his rare Pepe memes folder, he's got a rare me memes.
Yes.
So
it's not narcissism, Dad. It's art.
If you see this, send us your favorite Vance meme, or any rare Pepes you have too. I'm always down for those.
Yeah.
But we're up on an hour. We'll be back. Oh, check us out on everything. AJ Store / Roads to Liberty. R2L. Yep. Got his Methylene Blue seems to really be. I'm surprised how much that's taken off.
Yeah, you know what? I went to a gun show in Seward the 4th of July weekend, and there was a vendor selling some there. Not his brand, but was just selling methylene blue there. So I was like, this has gone mainstream now.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys are out there, you want to give it a shot, go to thealexjonesstore.com/R2L. Try the methylene blue. It comes in a little dropper or in capsules. The capsules are less messy. I take it with the dropper because that's just what I have on a subscription. Yeah, and get on Twitter and look us up. It's shit, I blanking on my own fucking Twitter handle right now.
You can find us anything at Roads and Number 2 Liberty 2 on like YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can find us on Rumble, vice versa.
Yep.
We're still on Facebook. Roads and Number 2 Liberty.com. We actually sold a couple shirts last week. I was psyched. I hadn't logged in for a while, and I logged in, and somebody had a shirt that for some reason it was sitting in production for a week, and I emailed the guy. So if you're watching this and that was you, sorry about that. I sent you an email that it should have been fixed now. But yeah, we're still selling shirts off the store. Yep. He ordered the Where Liberty Dwells, There Is My Country shirt.
Nice.
He ordered 2 of them, 2 different colors. So I guess the shirts aren't that terrible if you've never checked them out. Roads and Number 2 Liberty.com.
Yep. And if you go to @R2L Pod on Twitter, that's our Twitter handle. I really should change that to something a little easier to spell out, but @R2L Pod on Twitter, just one solid word. Yeah, if you guys go on thealexjonesstore.com/R2L, you try any of the supplements on there. Everything you buy, 10% goes back to us. So that's our affiliate link with the Alex Jones Store. And if you try anything, if you have a good reaction, you have a bad reaction, you have no reaction at all, go on our Twitter page and let me know about it.
I don't know. I should just share the picture of the webpage real quick while we're talking about it, because just in case people haven't seen it. Here's the Hobbs designed Boog Girl shirt. Build or Die. War is Peace, Freedom is Slavery. That's my favorite. Where Liberty Dwells, Here's My Country. That's the one that actually that one's been bought several times. And I actually like this one. It gets a lot of conversations with the fine print on it. It's got a bunch of fine print for your freedom. But yeah, check that out. And if you think they suck, let us know. If you like one, go ahead and buy one.
Yeah, and that's 100% of the profits go to us.
Yeah, we sell them for cheap. Should probably up the price because the production costs are going up a little. We only make like $3 or $4 a shirt. They're $20. So check that out. Follow us everywhere. Check out Alex Jones Store, and we will see you next week. And stay honky.